The power of Space Force is obscure. It is extremely difficult to cultivate it. I am not talented. I have some comprehension these years, but in any case, I can't do it like Sect Master Yang, condensing Space Force into a blade, and even tearing space with only one hand. Sect Master Yang's magical methods this king worships. I also ask Sect Master Yang to give me advice to solve the many doubts in my mind. Do you also understand the power of Space Force? Yang Kai frowned. A little bit. Xianxia nodded humbly. This king has been in closed retreat for decades, just to study the power of Space Force. It has some gains, but... Yang Kai was stunned. He didn't expect this old guy to retreat for decades to study Space Force. Yang Xiaoju also reminded Yi Xian to be careful before, saying that Xianxia had been practicing secret techniques in retreat for decades, which is probably not trivial. It turned out to be to cultivate the power of Space Force. But why does this old guy do this? Yang Kai's thoughts turned sharply. Suddenly, there was a flash of light in his mind. He looked at Xianxia with a smile, and said lightly, "Senior, if the kid didn't guess wrong, you cultivate the power of Space Force for this mysterious small boundary and that bead." "Oh. Why did you say this?" Xianxia narrowed his eyes gleaming, and he seemed to be interested. "Hee hee." Yang Kai laughed. "I didn't see the void tunnel before, so I was inexplicably brought here by the seniors. Thinking about it this way, that bead should be the key to open this mysterious small boundary. And to use that bead, I'm afraid it needs the understanding of Space Force, so you have to cultivate it. I don't know if the kid made a mistake." "Yes." Xian looked at Yang Kai approvingly, nodding. "I don't know what else Sect Master Yang sees. I also see that this mysterious small boundary is incomplete. It's probably because you don't have enough understanding of the Space Force. If you want it to become complete, you must be more proficient in Space Force." As he said, Yang Kai wrinkled and raised his brows. He was suddenly confused, and he didn't know the specific relationship between Xianxia's mastery of Space Force and this mysterious small boundary. The mysterious small boundary is the mysterious small boundary. It is a world of its own, and it should have nothing to do with anyone. Sect Master Yang's eyes are bright, and the old man admires it. Xian nodded slightly, but although Sect Master Yang is more than half right, one thing is wrong. "What's the matter?" Yang Kai looked at him suspiciously. "That bead is not the key to unlock the mysterious small boundary." Xianxia smiled slightly. "The bead itself is the mysterious small boundary." "What do you mean?" Yang Kai frowned at him. "Let's put it this way, a mysterious small boundary is sealed inside the bead." Xianxia added. "What?" Yang Kai was shocked, and Fang Peng was also dumbfounded. "There is a mysterious small boundary sealed in the bead. Is this possible?" Yang Kai shook his head repeatedly, with a look of disbelief. But soon, his expression became serious. Looking at Xianxia gloomily, he hesitated. "Could it be that the bead is the Emperor treasure?" Xianxia laughed and gently stroked his palms. Nodding his head, Sect Master Yang is really clever and incomparable, so he understood the key point so quickly. Yes, that bead is indeed an Emperor treasure. Of course it is impossible for ordinary secret treasures to have this kind of magical function, but the Emperor treasure is different. Cannot be speculate with normal means. That bead is indeed one of the two Emperor treasure, the mysterious boundary bead. Emperor treasure bead. Yang Kai snorted coldly. "Then the other one is the Nirvana thunder bead. These two things are inherited from the great Emperor, and are the two most important treasures of my Star Emperor Mountain." Xianxia nodded and admitted, then suddenly smiled and said, "Sect Master Yang, don't blame Senior Sister Yi for not reminding you. It's really because Senior Sister Yi didn't know that the old man could refine the mysterious boundary bead. This thing has been passed down in my Star Emperor Mountain for tens of thousands of years, but no one can refine it in the Star Emperor Mountain in the past." As time went on, everyone didn't even know the specific role of this mysterious boundary bead. It was a coincidence that the old man was able to refine it and understand the mystery. Xianxia's face was blue, his expression hard to look. If he hadn't really been in this incomplete, mysterious small boundary, he would not believe that there was such a bizarre secret treasure in the world that could seal a world in it. Now that he is trapped inside and not even the dragon bone sword by his side, how do he fight it? The old man has the Void King great secret treasure like the sun-moon golden disc. Don't even think about trying to tear the space, Sect Master Yang. Mysterious small boundary is a world of its own, with its own laws of heaven and earth. It is useless for you to tear the space here. Xianxia also seemed to remind him kindly. I'll know if it's useful or not. Seniors don't mind? Xianxia looked up at Xianxia. Sect Master Yang, please, it just so happens that this king also wants to carefully understand the mystery of Sect Master Yang's use of the Space Force. Xianxia stretched out his hand to indicate that he didn't mean to block it. Xianxia was not long-winded, stretched out his hand and swiped in front, and a space crack appeared immediately. But before he could step into it, Xianxia suddenly waved his hand, and the space crack disappeared. Xianxia looked at him coldly, his expression unhappy. Xianxia smiled and said, the law of this small mysterious realm is now in the hands of the old man. Please also ask Sect Master Yang to give up. Old thing. Xianxia snorted coldly. Sect Master Yang is young and energetic, and the old man doesn't care about you too much. The old man has been open and honest. Now it's time to talk about Sect Master Yang making choices. If you can work for the old man will treat you as a friend in the future. If not, well, the old man has to use some methods. I have given you the opportunity. Whether you can grasp it depends on your actions. Xianxia grinned and said, do you think you can do whatever you want by trapping me in this place? Cooperate with you, seniors, don't be wishful thinking. If you want to cultivate Space Force, the next life will be fine. At the same time, as if he had received some instructions, the firebird that had been hovering above the top of Yang's head screamed loudly and turned into a ball of flames and rushed towards Xianxia. Xianxia sighed deeply. Sect Master Yang insists on doing this, then the old man can only move forward. If there is any offense later, Sect Master Yang will forgive me. When the words fell, he stretched out his hand far away, and pointed a finger at the firebird that was struggling at him. A bizarre scene appeared. Suddenly a vortex appeared in the sky, and the vortex revolved, as if to produce infinite suction, sucking the firebird into it. No matter how hard the spirit struggled, they could not get rid of it. In just 3 short breaths, the firebird plunged into the whirlpool and disappeared. The connection between Xianxia and Firebird was also cut off at the same time, and this ending made his expression pale. Sect Master Yang doesn't have to worry, the old man just banished it outside, so as not to interfere with the fight between you and me. Xianxia smiled slightly, and after speaking, his face suddenly became extremely solemn. A burst of voice came out of his mouth, and stomped the ground with his feet. The earth seemed to tremble slightly, and the sound of the tearing of the silk sounded. Xianxia's cloth instantly shattered, and he shot all around, revealing his upper body. Xianxia looked at him with a look of shock on his face. This old guy looks quite young and thin, but in fact he is extremely unpredictable. The muscles are distinctly layered, rising high, full of explosive power. It's not surprising that such a body appeared in a young man, but it was a bit weird to appear in an old man with a gray hair and 3 long beards. His body is so powerful. The explosive power contained in that piece of muscle makes people look at him. Saint Yuan was ups and downs. Xianxia was extremely imposing, and his bare skin was faintly blooming. Both Xianxia and Fang Peng stared blankly. Sect Master Yang, the old man will give you one last chance. It's still not too late to look back, otherwise the old man's shots will not be light but heavy. If he hurts Sect Master Yang, the old man will feel sorry. Xianxia looked at Xianxia with majestic look, and said in low voice, Stop talking nonsense, you got me into such a small place just to take advantage of your physical strength, right? Yongkai smiled weirdly. If you have the ability, you can try to see if you can succeed. Seeing him refusing his kindness twice, Xianxia's expression also grew dark, and nodded. Okay, if that's the case, then don't blame the old man for not being polite. When the voice fell, Xianxia's figure shook, and he disappeared from where he was. When he reappeared, he was already on top of Yang's head, and he hadn't performed any secret techniques or sacrificed any secret treasures. He just waved a fist like this, and smashed towards Yongkai fiercely. Fighting in such an extremely small place, any secret treasure and secret technique are greatly restricted, and people with strong physical bodies will undoubtedly occupy a full advantage. There was no sound, but the power contained in that fist was enough to break a mountain. Yongkai stood there recklessly, seemingly unaware of the danger coming. Xianxia frowned, wondering what trick he was going to play. It wasn't until the fist wind hit his face that Yongkai suddenly shouted, "Come out!" A small and exquisite figure suddenly appeared in front of Yongkai strangely. As soon as he appeared, it suddenly grew bigger, and in the blink of an eye, he became a stone giant several feet tall. Stone puppet Xiao. The dragon bone sword was left outside, and the item spirit firebird was banished by Xianxia, but Yongkai still had stone puppets. The stone puppet carried the pitch-black heaven-shaking pillar on his shoulders, and the stick secret treasure also grew bigger as it skyrocketed. Shaking, Tianju clenched his fist tightly and swept forward. Xianxia's eyes narrowed, with a horrified expression on his face. He hurriedly drew back. He felt the fatal threat from that stick, and it seemed that even with his physical strength, he couldn't force a blow like that. Boom. It seemed that even the space was smashed and collapsed. Xianxia only felt a numbness in his abdomen. He was not hit by the pitch-black stick, but just swept away by the remaining wind. Even so, his chest was tumbling and breathing was not smooth. It is conceivable how he would end up if he was hit. His face changed wildly, his figure exploded, and without thinking, he reached out and pointed at the stone puppet. He wants to exile the stone puppet from this space. To be continued.